Now we begin with some breaking news today. NBA sources have told ESPN that the Suns are finalizing a deal to send Eric Bledsoe to the Milwaukee Bucks. We're hearing it's for Greg Monroe and a first-round pick, but we're going to confirm that for you and break down the trade later on in the show. Exciting times in the NBA.
You think Bledsoe heard about it from a hair salon?
Maybe he's in the hair salon right now. Meanwhile, we'll get to that later. The best player in the world may also be the most petty superstar ever. We can't be certain, but it sure looks like. The cliche, Robin, that timing is everything, it probably applies here because minutes after the Celtics won their 9th straight game, a win over the Hawks, the same team the Cavaliers just lost to, LeBron James pulled out the Arthur meme with the comment simply mood. So our question to you guys watching out there on Facebook Live, do you think LeBron is being petty? Let us know.
I would say petty awesome. He gives us something to talk about right here, right? And
isn't
this what people do on social media? I mean, I think there may be people who say if you're the leader of the team, you're the ambassador of the NBA, you can't do it. But his passive-aggressive, cryptic social media tactics have worked in the past.
Have they worked? I mean, we'll all go back to the Instagram post with Kevin Love, not with the rest of the guys on the team. We're still talking about it with Kevin Love trade rumors to this day.
Fit in, don't fit out. Speaking of petty, Michael Rapaport has some petty reasons for not liking LeBron, and he and I got into it over perhaps the best argument in sports, LeBron versus Jordan. And I'm joined now by Michael Rapaport, who has a new book out. This book has balls. That's the title.
Yes.
In it, you devote a chapter to one of sports talk's greatest hits, and you have 23 reasons why LeBron will never be like Mike.
That's right.
Yeah, some of them are the big three.
Yes.
Not entering the dunk contest.
Yes.
Manny Petties.
Manny Petties. For many years, LeBron James would be on the bench, get himself a Manny pedicure, not just chewing them, fingernails, getting clipped, fingernail files.
That seems a little petty.
You seems like a Manny Petty. You ain't never going to be like Mike giving yourself a Manny Petty on the bench. It's the NBA bench. Absorb the game. It's not a beauty bar in downtown Akron.
All right, get this. I already think LeBron is better than Jordan. LeBron's already been to the finals more than Jordan.
Yes.
I know your retort is going to be...
He keeps losing.
Yeah, he's lost.
Yeah.
But Jordan lost 3 times in the first round. LeBron never has.
Jordan was...
So is it better to lose before the finals than in the finals?
Yes. It's better to lose before the finals than in the finals. And we're talking about a different NBA.
Yeah.
We're talking about when there was a rite of passage. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that LeBron James isn't great, but he's not Jordan. And he had to learn. The biggest thing I think that LeBron lacks that Jordan has is he had to learn or sort of put on this killer instinct.
LeBron has more game-winning shots in the playoffs than Jordan on a better percentage.
And he's probably played in more games, right?
Okay, he has more points in the playoffs than Jordan on fewer shots.
And but has he played in more games? How many games have they played in?
He has played in more games.
What's the amount? But is it like how much is the amount? Because you got a lot of stats.
Yeah, but
I don't stat check. I gut check.
But if his playoff points are higher on fewer shots, why does the number of games matter play?
Wait, say that again? You're like doing geometry at me, man.
I'm hitting you with the advanced
No, but give me the numbers, though.
He has more playoff points on fewer...
He has more playoff points on
fewer field goal attempts.
Okay.
So does the games played matter if Jordan was taking more shots anyway in the games he did play?
Yes. The game. Wait, you're really confused. Say it again. The game. You're like this is why I don't stat check.
Let's move past
because I need graphs and stuff like that.
How about I won't make it into that. How about impact on a team? When LeBron was with the Cavs, they were winning. When he left, they went on the longest losing streak in history. Actually, their percentage fell more than the year Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, and Phil Jackson all left the Bulls. They had the worst record while he was gone. The Heat go to 4 straight finals. As soon as he's back, they're back to 3 straight finals.
LeBron is an incredible player. He's not Michael Jordan. He'll never be Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, what are the stats on Michael Jordan? Because you seem like you got a lot of stats. I mean, look, the most important stat is...
You're going to say 6 rings. That's the only one.
6 rings, MVP, best defensive player. He's Michael Jordan. He never even went to a Game 7 in the finals. He cut your throat, blood spilling before there was even a chance to win.
That's the Jordan argument I always hear, and I always hear about...
You don't need many.
It's the only argument I need, Sean.
Yes.
When you're talking about the clutch and killer instinct, aside from the push-off on Byron Russell for the winner in Game 6 against Utah, and the shot over Craig Elo, name me a specific other game winner or big shot from Michael Jordan.
Some of the times he passed the ball because there's so much attention.
Kerr, Paxson.
Exactly. I break down 23 reasons why LeBron will never be like Mike. And the majority of them have less to do with his on-the-court stuff, with his off-the-court stuff, than his on-the-court stuff. And the biggest thing with LeBron is that the killer instinct. And the sort of branding of himself.
But, like you're getting on me about stats. Killer instinct is an abstract notion.
It's an abstract notion, but we know what it is. We know that. And who's to say that you think that LeBron's better than Kobe?
Yes, absolutely. I don't think that's a conversation.
Why?
What argument is there for Kobe aside from rings? That's the only argument.
But when you say, what does it, but aside from
But he played
rings,
with Prime Shaq for the first 3 years of his championship.
And LeBron played, when did he win his first ring? He disrupted, and that disruption of the big three going to Miami will leave the NBA in shambles far.
So why are you blaming him for that? Is that the same thing that Durant did? Durant went to a 73-win team, the best team of all time.
And who laid the foundation for that? He laid the foundation for this big three AAUification of the NBA. That's all LeBron. The Celtics with Garnett, Pierce, and Ray Allen, they were in the league 12 years or 13 years. Very good past their primes.
Not when they were together.
No, they were 12 years into the league, not 5 years.
But that's why he had to go to Miami.
He didn't have to go to Miami. This AAUification banana boat of the NBA is going to be a problem. And I guarantee you, within the next 10 years, and LeBron will be retired. Who knows? Maybe he's not. One interesting thing, LeBron. Every single player we've talked about, every single player we mentioned right here, and every single player and every single athlete, whether it's Lance Armstrong, Sammy Sosa, or Mark McGwire, everybody's gotten injured. But for some strange reason, LeBron James has never sat out because of an injury. Even Lance Armstrong had injuries, and he was using some funny stuff. And I don't want any player to get injured. The only time LeBron James ever sat out was when he first went to Cleveland to take some rest. And he went from Cleveland to Miami during those 2 weeks. Then he came back stronger, bigger, stronger than ever. And he was fantastic. I would love to know what he did during that rest, because when I rest for 2 weeks, I get fat and all that stuff. LeBron James rests for 2 weeks, he comes back like Superman.
You might write a book during that 2 weeks. Michael Rapaport, this book has balls.
I appreciate it.
Good argument. Maybe we'll go get some mani-pedis.
Let's do it.
I don't know, Robin. Maybe adding to Michael Rapaport's argument is the fact that LeBron is off to his worst start since his rookie year, meaning his team. His numbers are good individually, but this team really designed around him. He's kept his future a total mystery to the team. Should he be shouldering the blame for the slow start?
I have a hard time buying the notion the Cavs are LeBron's hand-picked team when they got rid of the GM he vouched for in the offseason. Look, I was just as skeptical if Kyrie Irving wanted to go out on his own away from LeBron as anyone. But perhaps everyone, including me, focused way too much on Kyrie leaving LeBron and not nearly enough on Kyrie leaving the Cavs, because it's looking like Irving may have a far greater handle on basketball dynamics than he does basic science.
And geography.
We knew when he went to Boston, he'd be teaming with Gordon Hayward, who of course is now injured, and Al Horford, who he's meshed with spectacularly. But he also joined a team with a lot of young talent, including Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who are both going to be very good NBA players for a very long time. As a result of that young length and athleticism under Brad Stevens' coaching, the Celtics have won 9 games in a row and are #1 in the league in defensive efficiency. Compare that to the Cavs, who rank dead last defensively. Why? They're old. The average age of an NBA team is 26.6. The Cavs' average age is 30.1. Being slow-footed on the perimeter has led to a bevy of buckets for any team playing Cleveland. Of course, LeBron himself is 32 and 15 seasons in. This hasn't slowed him, though. James is shooting nearly 61% from the floor, better than prime Shaq, while attempting 4 threes a game, a career high on percentage, while also dishing out a personal best 9.1 assists per contest to go with 29 points and 7 rebounds. It's also worth pointing out he's had monster performances in wins over both Boston and Washington, perhaps the Cavs' 2 biggest challengers in the East. In the latter, he went for 57 and 11. The problem, the Cavs needed every bit of it to eke out a win, as James is essentially the only player on the team currently thriving. He leads the NBA in value over replacement player, total points added, some other advanced metrics. With Isaiah Thomas out, Kyrie has been replaced by Derrick Rose, amongst the worst starters in the league. Cleveland's been outscored by 14 points per 100 possessions with Rose on the floor. The other newcomers, Jay Crowder and Dwayne Wade, are averaging under double figures, and even the guys who contributed to Cleveland's title runs are struggling. Kevin Love, who's played mostly at center, is shooting just 40%, while J.R. Smith has been even worse, hitting 28% of his attempts. The team as a whole is shooting 33% from three compared to 38% a season ago. It's a testament to LeBron's greatness. We feel the need to hyper-diagnose the Cavs' struggles in November, and that none of us would be surprised if he got even this roster to the NBA Finals for his 8th straight appearance. But thus far, much like LeBron did when he went to Miami, it looks like Kyrie made the right decision, leaving the Cleveland Cavaliers.
And that is all very well put. There's a lot of reasons that you should be backing up LeBron right now for what he's doing individually. But there is something to be said about LeBron being the general manager of the team also, or at least having a huge amount of input. And LeBron doesn't like to play with younger players. We know that. He wants to play with guys who are a little bit more veteran. Plus, he was overshadowing Kyrie, so there's really nothing he could have done about that.
Well, Kyrie felt he was overshadowing Kyrie.
And everyone knew that. Meanwhile, one player who stayed with their old team is Blake Griffin, and our own Lee Jenkins has written about Blake, but this quote from his teammate Austin Rivers was incredibly revealing. He said the dynamic with Blake and Chris Paul was weird. I don't know why. It was just strange. No one knew who the leader was, and if you had something to say, it would turn into an argument. I think people were sometimes scared to say something to Blake because you didn't know how he'd react. Now he's a whole different person, more approachable, and I think it's because we've embraced him. We know who our leader is. We're all in with Blake Griffin. Wow. Do you think that the Clippers can now win a championship with Blake Griffin as the number one guy?
If I have to answer it honestly, no. I don't think they'll win a championship with Blake as the number one guy. And I don't mean that as a diss of Blake Griffin, who's a tremendous player. Look, if you add talent around him that's on par with him, maybe you can get to that championship level. But I'd consider Blake, and this speaks to how good the NBA is right now, how good the stars are, almost on the tier 2 of superstars, and he's an awesome player. I mean, he can get up and down the floor, he can shoot the basketball, obviously he can dunk, he's improved. I do think Chris Paul leaving was better for everyone involved. From a basketball standpoint, in the sense that they've always played pretty well when one of the three was removed, whether it was Paul, DeAndre Jordan, or Blake Griffin. And then a personality standpoint, Chris Paul, very feisty, getting towards the end of his career, and Blake Griffin now feeling emboldened to lead this team.
I think this reveals a lot about Blake Griffin and the fact that he really does need to be the alpha. This is something we talked about with Jack McCallum not too long ago. What could be the eventual demise of the Golden State Warriors? And it's that nobody knows if Steph or Kevin Durant is the guy. I think it makes a lot of sense that teams need one leader and then everyone else fills in a role after that. And it appears that the Clippers are no different. And one thing I'll say is that, Austin Rivers has said some interesting things about Chris Paul in the past. So maybe there is a little bit of sour grapes there, considering Chris Paul wanted to leave the team. You never know what's going on because Austin Rivers and Doc Rivers are father and son. That dynamic could be a little bit interesting. But I don't believe the Clippers, even with Blake Griffin very solidly in the alpha role, are they as elite as the Rockets? No. Are they there with the Thunder? No.
They're on that Portland
Clearly, they're not there
level
with the Warriors. Yeah. So I like them as a great team. Jerry West now in the front office. I feel like he's helped a lot of teams in the past in terms of talent evaluation, things like that. So I like where the Clippers are going. They made a good addition by subtraction, but I can't put them at championship level right now. Meanwhile, we said before, crazy trade going down today in the NBA. It looks like Eric Bledsoe, who was very upset, not happy in Phoenix, has found a new home, and that is Milwaukee. We're hearing Greg Monroe and the Bucks' first-round pick for this year. Robin, what do you think of the trade?
I think it's a home run for Milwaukee. They desperately needed another playmaker, a secondary playmaker off Giannis. Bledsoe can do that some. He helps teams in transition. He is a guy who physically can really be a great defender. They still lack some shooting around those guys, and Bledsoe's not exactly a marksman from the outside, but he ups their talent tremendously, and he fills a specific need. As far as what they gave up, they did very well, probably because of Bledsoe's antics or whatever took place. And from the Suns side of things, they get a guy who can score in the post in Monroe, and you hopefully turn the first-round pick into something. Considering they had no leverage, they probably did okay, but it's a home run for Milwaukee.
No, I mean, this is what happens when one of your star players takes it to Twitter, gets very disgruntled, and then you double down and say, don't come back to the facility. I mean, Eric Bledsoe played 3 games this year, and he's been where? I mean, they invited him back to work out like a couple days ago. It's obviously been really bad. GM going on local radio, saying a bunch of things. Obviously, a lot of feelings hurt there. So they had had no leverage, and they were still able to get a first-round draft pick out of it. So, listen, the Phoenix Suns, I believe they're the youngest team in the league. If not, they're one of the two. Nobody's expecting them to do a lot right now. So I guess if you get rid of a guy who's malcontent, who doesn't want to be there, maybe that's a step in the right direction. To this day, though, right now, and I'm not even so sure about next season, Phoenix not a destination. And I feel like you're either going to grow the core from within, you're going to get an impact player next year, or because I don't see the free agents that are clearly not flocking to go to Phoenix.
Yeah, Milwaukee could be, though, despite it not being the most desirable location necessarily in the traditional sense. But this move, I think, Bledsoe to the Bucks elevates them from average to good. And with one other significant move, they could go from good to contending.
They play the Cavaliers tonight. If you look at the standings, they're above the Cleveland Cavaliers. Meanwhile, the World Series may be over, but the victory lap continues for the Houston Astros, and rightly so. On Monday, third baseman Alex Bregman stopped by our studio and explained that being champions can be exhausting.
I think I've slept about 5 hours, but just traveling around. We've been on Saturday Night Live, Good Morning America, in a Knicks game. It's just been a complete whirlwind. The parade, though, the parade's was the best.
What did you see in people's faces? Because obviously Houston has been through so many ups and downs with the hurricane. I mean, what did it look like for people to be watching you guys on those parade floats?
Just pure joy. Like people were hanging out of parking garages. The streets that were flooded 9 weeks ago were filled with people. Millions of I think there was 2 million people there. I'm not sure, but it was absolutely packed. It was so much fun. They were throwing us beers onto the floor. We were drinking. It was a good time. It was just a blast. It was fun, and we're Houston strong.
Yeah, that's so great. And obviously with all the beer and the champagne flowing, there's always one teammate that just like, you're not used to seeing them drink and then they'll like take it way too far. Who was the drunkest person on your team?
Joe Musgrove was Joe Musgrove slammed a beer on the parade. It went viral. I think a lot of people were loving it.
Were you like, did you know he had it in him, or were you like, that is weird?
I knew he had it in him, but you're exactly right. And in the post game celebration, guys that you've never like drank with before, you're like, wow.
It's like 2 at a time, really?
Yeah, are you kidding me?
Of course, a lot of the story of this Astros team is about the losing, just about how dark things had to get before it got light. You really missed a lot of that. Were you talking at all with your teammates just about how they endured that much losing to eventually get to the top of the mountain?
Yeah, I was still at LSU when the article came out that said the Astros were going to win in 2017.
The SI cover.
Yep, and
Nostradamus, Ben Reiter.
Oh yeah, and I was still in school then, and but I knew that the process had taken a while, and that Houston had to go through a lot to get to where they are now, and it's pretty cool to see.
That's amazing. So many moments you can go back to. Obviously, your game-winning single in Game 5, which is, many believe, maybe the most exciting World Series game ever played. Even going back to the ALCS, your throw home in Game 7 against the Yankees. I mean, what moment do you keep going back to?
Yeah, I'd say both of those were huge for me. They were a blast just to be a part of it. I mean, I look back at the walk-off, and I remember Correa, before I walked up, he was like, hey, it's your time. Like, let's go. It's your time. You can do this. And it's surreal to me that 5 seconds later hit a walk-off single in the World Series. This is ridiculous.
And not to mention that, I mean, the home run off of Kershaw also, I mean, he has such this air of invincibility about him. When you're approaching, trying to get a hit, let alone a home run off of Clayton Kershaw, what's the thought?
Thoughts like, hey, you can't look at the name on the back of the jersey. You can't look at it. That's a Hall of Famer. He's unbelievable. He's got great stuff. You just got to go out there and compete, and you got to say, hey, we're both here. Let's go toe to toe and see who wins. And he got me a few times, and I was able to get him once.
Could you tell the baseballs were a little different? Our own Tom Verducci reporting they were slicker baseballs. Could you notice a difference?
Honestly, I couldn't really tell, because once the ball was hit to me, it'd been on the dirt, so it didn't really feel that slick. Hitting them, honestly I couldn't tell a difference. But the pitchers definitely were like, hey, the ball's a little slicker. I will say this: sliders were not as good in the postseason. Didn't see nearly as many good sliders as during the regular season, because I guess it's tougher for the pitchers to grip the balls or whatever.
Yeah, and of course the slider pitch for Yu Darvish is really one of his most deadly. Be honest, Was he tipping them a little bit?
No,
he was not
wasn't.
tipping his pitches.
Well, not that we knew of. Not that we knew of.
Because you know the story is that Carlos Beltran, his former teammate, may have given you guys the heads up that, hey, he moves his hand a little bit when it's a breaking ball and he doesn't when it's a fastball.
See, we didn't know that. I wish we would have.
I'm trying to think if I believe you right now.
I wish we would have. Now, Beltran is the best in the business at that. Yeah. He is the best in all of baseball at finding out different tips. And signing him and McCann and Reddick this offseason was so big for this team. We were so young, and it's super special for us to be able to play with guys like that.
Okay, not to keep harping on this. You never talked to Beltran about you, Darvish.
None of us did. None of us did.
So many great love stories abound in the World Series. Of course, you have Correa, who proposes to his girlfriend after you guys win. Your mom's in the back of that photo, which is really cool.
Going crazy.
But she's not the only one. Justin Verlander, Kate Upton, they got married this weekend, so that's fantastic. And then Brian McCann's mother marrying Mark Teixeira's father in the second marriage. What's the best love story from the Houston Astros?
I don't know. I'm gonna go with McCann. I think they're gonna come out with a Step Brothers movie, and it's gonna be good. Him and Teixeira. Big congratulations to Carlos and Daniela. That's gonna be awesome. Super excited for them. And then JV missed the parade, but for good reason.
Listen, he got the SI swimsuit cover model a couple times over. He's a lucky man. Alex Bregman, thank you so much. Congratulations on winning the World Series. It was just amazing to watch you and enjoy this victory lap.
Thank you so much.
Hey, it's Corey Parson, the Fantasy Executive, your SI Now Fantasy Football Analyst with your pickups for week number 10. Let's start at the running back position with Kenyon Drake and Damian Williams. With Jay Ajayi now in Philadelphia, fantasy owners were wondering which Miami Dolphin running back would be the guy moving forward. In week 9, Kenyon Drake was in the game on 55% of the snaps, while Damian Williams in the game for 45% of the snaps. This is like a true timeshare, at least for now. I would advise fantasy owners to add Kenyon Drake, being that he is the player with the most fantasy upside. Another running back you can look to add is Danny Woodhead. Ravens pass-catching back Danny Woodhead is back in practice and will be activated before week 11. Woodhead is a dynamic pass-catching running back who is perfect for the check-down specialist, Joe Flacco. Owners in PPR and standard formats should look to add and stash Woodhead. He will have RB2 upside until his next injury. Wide receiver help is Robert Woods. Woods is becoming the top target for Jared Goff. Woods has at least 5 targets in every game this season. In his last 4 games, Woods has 19 receptions with 2 touchdowns. He is currently available in 70% of fantasy leagues. At tight end, Greg Olsen. Owners with roster real estate and need tight end help should look to stash Panthers tight end Greg Olsen. Olsen will resume practicing this week and will be eligible to return in week 12. Stash him for your playoff run.
It's time now for our weekly NFL Power Rankings, because if you're going to rank things, you might as well do it powerfully. And here is my list of 5 teams. I'll start off with the Philadelphia Eagles, who I believe are probably the consensus team at this point. Then I've got New England. And of course, the Patriots. We've talked about some of their struggles, but look at their record, 6-2, right there again. The Rams have looked great. They're at number 3. Dallas, who I think is being slept on a little bit, is at number 4. We'll see what happens with Ezekiel Elliott. And then I have to give credit to the New Orleans Saints. They've won 6 in a row. That has to get you on the list of the top 5. It includes a drubbing of the Panthers, and during that run, Maggie, they've allowed just 15 points per contest.
Okay, our power rankings are going to look a little similar, except I'll show you mine. Number 5 on my list is still the Kansas City Chiefs, and I understand they've lost 3 of 4. I know that, but this is without a doubt the most difficult part of their schedule, and then it's going to loosen up big time. We all know Andy Reid, unbeatable on a bye week. That's what they are in Week 10. They come out to play the Giants, and then Buffalo we're not sure about, the New York Jets. They're going to play Oakland, who's significantly fallen off. Then the Chargers, Miami, Denver is nothing. So we are really going to see Kansas City finish this strong. And I think all of the things that are wrong with Kansas City can be fixed on a bye week. Their offensive line needs to rest. Their defensive line needs some rest. Kareem Hunt is a rookie. They have to use him strategically to make sure that he's not going to hit a wall and that he's actually playing his best at the end of the season. Alex Smith, still an MVP candidate. I don't care what anyone says. He's up there with Wentz and with Tom Brady. So with all of the Chiefs' most recent woes, they're all fixable. And so for me, they're still in my top 5.
It's really tough, actually, to nail down a top 5 because there are probably, 10 to 15 teams you could make an argument for being in the top 5. And it took me a long time to come around on the Eagles. I was a bit of a doubter. And then I go, wait a second. There's no elite team in the NFL. The Eagles may actually be an elite team considering the landscape.
It only took them hanging 51 onto one of the supposedly best defenses in the league for Robin to finally come around. He's on the Wentz wagon now, though. And that's going to do it for this Tuesday show. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Of course, stick with SI.com. We mentioned that Blake Griffin piece by Lee Jenkins, totally worth you reading right now. And of course, you can check out all of our clips from our Twitter handle at SI Now Live. And that's it. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.